Obama's plan to censor the news media. That's what I'd like to talk about today. The Federal Communications Commission has conducted a study through the University of Southern California Annenberg School and has concluded that the media in the United States does not serve the needs of low-income Americans and does not cover critical news information that it believes Americans ought to receive. So they are now embarking on a study being pioneered in Columbia, South Carolina, but soon to be in every media market in the country, where they ask all editors, reporters, management, assignment desks, on-air anchors, on radio, television, and in print media, how do you make the decision to cover the news? What news do you think is most important? What discussions have you had lately about news priorities? Have you ever wanted to cover a story that they wouldn't let you cover? If so, explain the details. And very probing questions about what goes on inside the newsroom when decisions are made on what news to cover. And the FCC has helpfully created 8 categories of news, which it calls Critical Information Needs, CIN. And they're all liberal. One is the environment, another is income inequality and poverty, another is economic opportunity, and so on. And it's monitoring the content for a sample week of every radio, TV station, and newspaper in this market, but soon to be nationally, to figure how much of the news falls into each of these 8 baskets. And if the news coverage is not adequate in the FCC's opinion, they are advising the stations of their recommendations, purely voluntary, for them to change their coverage. Now, there's nothing voluntary about the way the FCC deals with radio or TV stations. Their entire ability to function is dependent on the renewal of their FCC licenses that come up every 8 years. And under the theory that they're using the public airwaves, the FCC can put them out of business with the stroke of a pen. And that, by the way, includes the major TV networks as well, Fox News and all of them. And when the FCC sends a letter saying, we think you ought to do more of this, that amounts to a diktat. Now, the FCC has no such power over print media, because that's protected by the First Amendment in a way electronic media is not. But they're conducting the study anyway of newspapers, and they're going to advise newspapers on what they should or shouldn't be covering. So this is really a massive step toward government censorship. It replaces the old fairness doctrine that said if you have one point of view, you have to have the other point of view. And that was ended in 1987 and was a tremendous intrusion on the public space and resulted in very little public affairs coverage, because every TV station knew that it covered an issue from the Democratic point of view. It would have to give equal time to the Republican point of view, and that costed advertising revenues, so they didn't do it. But now this is going to replace the fairness doctrine, and it's a major step toward government censorship of our media under this president. Thanks for watching.